Welcome to today's edition of Fight News Now Extra. My name is John Pollock, and we have all the news coming up with John Ramdeen and Robin Black stopping by to discuss. We're going to chat about a welterweight fight in the works for the UFC, a major star is randomly drug tested, and a rising star says he will no longer fight in the state of Nevada. UFC flyweight Henry Cejudo has come out strongly on the side of Nick Diaz in the wake of Diaz's 5-year suspension from the Nevada Athletic Commission. Cejudo's manager, Bill McFarland, sent a letter to MMAfighting.com and stated that they were appalled at the abuse of power displayed this past Monday at the Nevada hearing and not further investigating the drug testing question, where Diaz was well above the allowable limit in the state for marijuana metabolites. As a result, McFarland has noted that Cejudo will no longer choose to fight in the state of Nevada moving forward. UFC featherweight champion Jose Aldo has noted that he was recently subjected to a random drug test by USADA and took to social media where he began taunting Conor McGregor to be tested as well. The two are set to fight on December the 12th at UFC 194 and unify the featherweight championship, which McGregor holds the interim version of following his win over Chad Mendes this past July. And it was reported on UFC Tonight that Rory MacDonald and Hector Lombard are close to signing a bout agreement and fighting sometime in early 2016. Lombard is still serving a 1-year suspension after failing his post-fight drug test this past January following a win over Josh Burkman at UFC 182. MacDonald is coming off a brutal fight with Robbie Lawler at UFC 189 this past July, which was his first championship fight in the UFC. We are back on Saturday night, September the 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for a 1-hour preview show counting down to the UFC's return to Japan featuring Josh Barnett and Roy Nelson, and the prelims will be airing exclusively in Canada on Fight Network with 4 fights coming your way from the Saitama Super Arena. Here with John Ramdeen and Robin Black to chat about today's news. Off the top, Henry Cejudo, through his manager, has stated he is no longer going to fight in the state of Nevada. Do you feel that this is the kind of pressure that a fighter will be able to put upon the promoter, or is Henry Cejudo going to end up in Nevada for his next fight?
Yeah, I don't think it really matters if Henry Cejudo wants to fight in Vegas or not. The fact is, if the UFC needs him to fight in Las Vegas, he'll say, yeah, I support Nick Diaz as much as I can. And hopefully the UFC will listen and say that I don't have to fight there, but push comes to shove. If they say you're fighting Demetrius Johnson for the title and it's at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, I'm pretty sure he'll probably fight there.
My man, Henry Cejudo. Good move. I like it.
Me too.
Now, I think the issue is he's saying, I will not fight where that commission works.
Is, yeah.
The UFC can publicly say, well, we want to make you do something you don't want to do because we'll dangle some money. That's not a good look. So they'll do it if they need to. They're willing to look bad if it benefits them to a great degree, but there's a lot of this. You know what the internet's really good at? The internet's good at outrage. It's excellent at outrage, and so
I'm mildly concerned about this issue.
Yeah, nobody just sort of is okay with stuff. Everything rules or it sucks. Yeah. That's how the internet works. So if Henry Cejudo says, I want to support Nick Diaz, a very volatile issue, and then the UFC says, we want you to fight for the title, it's worth this much money, and he decides if he wants to say, look what they're making me do, outrage.
Yeah, but the reality is, in 3 months from now, people are going to completely forget about this situation, and if Cejudo's next fight is in Las Vegas, only the hardcore MMA media will say, wait a second, he said that he wasn't going to fight there because of Nick Diaz. But it's really not going to make any difference.
Well, call me hardcore media then, because I don't want to let this one go. And I realize that that's true, though. I mean, it would be great if we just operated in realities that we believed to be true. But the truth is that there will be a new outrage in 3 days. And that is a disappointing nature, just the same way that a pop star is super famous and then forgotten in a week. And everything is like that. So is outrage. But, sign those petitions and make the Nevada State Athletic Commission hear your voice.
This is going to be my last observation on this Nick Diaz thing, and then we're going to move on because I'm just at overload when it comes to...
I promised my mother I wouldn't give the finger on TV anymore.
Nick Diaz discussion. We're not going to upset Mrs. Black. But do you think that there would be the same level of reaction had Nick Diaz and the test that was just through the roof with marijuana, had it been the pre-fight test, and there's the chance that he could have gone into the octagon with that level of marijuana in his system? Would that have been more of a concern if this guy had actually been high going into the cage, if his levels had been at 733 nanograms per milliliter during the pre-fight test.
Well,
It would explain him lying on the ground during that fight.
Exactly. I think I would be amazed at it if he decided to let's smoke some weed and then go in and fight Anderson
I'm not
Silva.
arguing a
Like, that's
performance
insane.
enhancer,
Yeah.
but for the safety of the fighter, you would never allow someone intoxicated to go into the cage.
Yeah.
Should you be allowed to let someone who is
They're
completely
intoxicated.
high?
Well, yeah, it's the same thing. Again, it's just a
you
terrible
smoked
idea.
marijuana, Jan Valenti?
Look, the fact is that
He smoked a lot of marijuana.
I can understand when people, because I think we talked about this before. You know, there's this culture in jiu-jitsu of these weed smokers,
Of course.
and they hit the canvas to get into this free-flowing form and to kind of be creative. And I can understand that.
Very
But
different when it's full combat.
That's right. When somebody is coming to smash your brains in 100%, your senses aren't as sharp as they need to be. And people can say, well, you know, it dulls the pain. It doesn't dull the pain that much. You get punched in the face, you're going to feel like you just got punched in the face.
I guess that's where I come into all of this. I don't feel marijuana should be tested for out of competition, but in competition, in particular, right before a fight, yeah, I don't think someone should be able to go into an octagon, whether it's
That's
under
just
the
a dumb
influence
idea,
of
though.
alcohol
Yeah,
or marijuana.
I
It's a dumb
understand.
idea.
Do they test
but it's
for
a-
alcohol? They may
I
test
don't
for
know,
alcohol.
do they?
I mean, I don't
Somebody
know.
wants
That's a
to get
very
all
good question.
sauced up and go
One
inside
should
the
not.
cage.
I have been punched in the face in a cage before. I've been punched in the face while drunk, and
Yeah.
I've been punched in the face while having consumed cannabis, and it hurts the same all regardless. It really does.
All right, let's move on a little bit. I
I'm
want to
sure
go.
people love this discussion now.
Oh, I don't care. People love when
My
Robin.
mother doesn't. My
Apparently,
mother
Robin giving the finger, huge views as a result. Anyway,
mother's mad.
let's look at some of the fights this Saturday night. Bellator, we haven't really talked about Liam McGeary and Tito Ortiz. Most all on the side of Liam McGeary. Is there a path to victory here for Tito Ortiz? And do you sense that this is Tito Ortiz's last go at a title and people having that buzz for it? Because I thought this fight would have a lot more intrigue than it seems to have. It seems that Bellator as a whole, there's a lot of interest for this card because it's so different and all over the map. But the title fight, I don't know if it's really garnering the interest of past Tito Ortiz fights.
Yeah,
in
it's because
Bellator.
people don't know Liam McGeary. That's what it comes down to. And I think if McGeary goes out and dominates Tito Ortiz, you talk about the path to victory. Tito's strong. He's big. He's got the wrestling background. Just rely on the old school Tito Ortiz approach. Get the takedown. Try to smash McGeary inside of his guard. However, I don't know if it's going to happen. We've seen the takedown defense of the entire industry raise, and I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, good point. Now, Bellator made a little kind of breakdown. It had Jimmy's, who I love, had Jimmy Smith voice it. And Bellator's breakdown was like, this guy doesn't have any takedown defense at all. And you can't mislead, man. When you make breakdowns, you got to show truths and facts and really get into the details of it. You can't oversimplify it. And the whole thing said he has no takedown defense. And if Tito can get this to the ground, and he can, and if he does, I like it. But no takedown defense is 2015.
Man, the breakdown wars are beginning. I love
like
that.
Jimmy,
I want to
though.
get Dan
I do.
Hardy, Jimmy Smith, and Robin Black in a
best.
room together. The co-breakdown. All right, folks, Bellator is coming up Saturday night, but Fight News Now Extra is coming up now.